All right, I guess going today about to hop into the review of Proverbs chapter 27. This part two. The first thing is first, though, just want to make sure I like that video up. You know what to do. Let it's a full screen scroll just a little bit, like the video, full screen it back up. You feel me? I don't remember if we left off on verse 5 or verse 6, right? But we can go over both. Verse 5, open rebuke is better than secret love. Or no, we definitely went over that. Go check last video if you want to hear the in-depth breakdown. But basically, it's just saying, right, we're told to rebuke each other, right, in love. We're told to speak the truth in love. So that's better than people loving us a secret, not telling us that, but letting us act any type of way that we want while we're sitting or something like that. We'd rather have an open rebuke where it's like, hey, you're sinning. Stop, please, for me, right? Verse 6, faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are deceitful. And I actually think that we went over this one as well, but I'm not really too sure what it means by faithful are the wounds, right? But a mark of a true friend is that they will be willing to wound us with loving correction. So it ties into that last verse, how we said open rebuke is better than letting us live how we want in public, but loving us secretly and correcting us like only in the back or only when they think it's right. Because we're told to correct in private, right? There's like, or no, open rebuke, not correct the private. I'm sorry, that's bro code that I was thinking of. There used to be these stupid bro code things where it's like, oh, let somebody rock in public, agree in public but correct in private or something. Like that's the bro code. Like, don't make me look like a fool in front of other people. But like sometimes that's needed, but also you can pull somebody aside. You don't have to, be too crazy about it, but pull your friend aside, let them know, hey, kind of talking a bit crazy, that seems sinful. Let them know what it is, because that's better than, that secret love, like I said, right? So they will be willing to gen you. The correction may not feel good as wounds, but it'll be expression of love and faithfulness. Kisses of an enemy are deceitful. Why? Because their love is hidden from you, or the love is fake. They hate you secretly and you don't know that. Verse 7, the full soul loathes the honeycomb, but to the hungry soul every bitter thing is sweet, right? So a full soul loathes the honeycomb, something that's sweet. They hate the honeycomb. The hungry soul, anything is good to them, right? You're hungry when you're hungry, everything tastes better. So the commentary says that when our soul is satisfied and when our life is satisfied, materially or physically, we find it easy to hate and reject things that would otherwise be greatly desired, right? And it's the power of God telling us, you're good. You have the love and joy from me. You don't need the things of this world that everybody else is craving, right? You don't need to envy that Ferrari. You don't need to envy this thing or that thing, right? You're good because we have Jesus, right? When you're truly hungry in life, you'll eat almost anything and consider it sweet, right? How many times are down bad people, not down bad people, right? But like people that are down and out on their luck or whatever you want to say, right? They're so down that all they can do is look to God, that they consider any path better than the path they're currently on. They say, hey, I got to get it by any means necessary. I got to get it out the mud. And then they go to robbing, stealing, whatever they got to do, selling drugs to make it out of that situation when they didn't have to. They just needed the joy of the Lord. How many homeless people you see on the side of the road that are generally happy and smiling and all that because they have God with them? It may not be many, but the ones that are, you may think to yourself, what is wrong with you? You have nothing. But when you have nothing in this world, you have all in Christ, right? Jesus told that prince, sell all you have and follow me. Those people have truly nothing, but they have everything in the next life. Verse 8, as a bird that wanders from her nest, so is a man that wanders from his place. I don't know if this means a baby bird, because the baby birds, when they wander, they die, right? But the commentary seems to say, with just a few words, Solomon painted a heart-touching picture of a bird away from its place of safety and security, the nest where it belongs. This proverb made Spurgeon think about those who seem to wander from church to church. Too many in our London churches are sort of flying camp, always flying from one to another. See Christians. He's actually a slur, so I might blur that or cut that out. And he says they have no settled abode or no local habitation. And I think with that, the danger that becomes with that is they think, oh, this church doesn't suit me. This church doesn't suit me. They get into the mind of these churches are all different and they're not really feeding me the way I want to be fed. And then it comes to the point where Christianity is not feeding me the way I want to be fed. I don't agree with this and I don't agree with that. So are you really a Christian? When you're saying you don't agree with some of Christianity, it's not that you don't agree with it. Like, this is the true stuff. You're just disagreeing with it to disagree. It's not that it doesn't agree with you. You're disagreeing with it. And that's a bigger problem. That's why having no local habitation is an issue, right? We have a place appointed by God, and we can be as out of a place as a bird without a nest if we wander from it. We need to take care that we preserve our place, not, or perceive our place, not as the one that culture or community may assign, but the place that God has assigned us, right? And that's all we need. That's all we need. And we know that when you wander further, right, more sin will abound because you have no structure in your Christianity. And so with that, the wages of sin are death. So me saying what I said about a baby bird, right, that could be even true of baby Christians, right? I don't think a serious Christian, not a serious Christian, but a mature Christian would allow this to happen. And even if they did, they'd have security in the Bible at the least, right? I'd say going to church for church isn't a problem if you have security at least in the Bible, right? And you're trying to find a church that affirms what the Bible says and not what man says. But you get the point the verse is trying to make. And these are just observations from Solomon, not necessarily 100% truth, or this is this and this is 100% that. It's just take it with a grain of salt in that department. These are observations, general things, general sayings. Verse 9, ointment and perfume rejoice the heart. So does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. All right, the same way you be spritzing, hitting that. Yo, I know this one girl one time, she had this perfume. She would take that bottle and she would all over. And I'm like, as a guy who knows how, what's the word, cologne works, I know you're supposed to hit the pulse points, right? Maybe one on the chest area, chest, neck, whatever the case is. The two on the wrist or one on the wrist, rub it together so it gets on your wrist, back of the neck, maybe, you know, the parts of the body that get hot and they heat up and you're supposed to moisturize beforehand. But these girls, and I'm like, how much was that? And they're like, I don't know how much money. I don't remember anymore. But like, you know, you spend the money. I know a good cologne could run you like $40. I know they got them $100 ones too. But in that department, like, you just, for one day, all them spritzes for one day. My brother gave me cologne, like, I think before I started my freshman year. And I still got way over half that bottle. Probably like 3/4 of that bottle, right? I only use it on like special occasions. Why? Because it rejoices the heart. On a special occasion, I'm extra happy. I want to smell good. You know what I'm saying? I throw that on. So does the sweetness of a man's friend by hearty counsel. Hearty counsel, right? Not just your general everyday counsel, but that hearty counsel come once every blue moon, just like that nice perfume you put on, or my bad, that nice cologne or perfume for all my lady viewers, right? You put that on and you like, I'm feeling myself, I'm smelling good. That hearty counsel hits you like, ooh, come on now, I'm walking straighter, back up, chest up, head high. And you just kind of him for the rest of the night or the rest of the moment. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully that moment lasts. Verse 10, thine own friend and thine own father's friend forsake not. Neither go into thy brother's house in the day of calamity, for better is that neighbor near than a brother far off. So I'm definitely going to check out what the commentary says, but right, we can see this in a different translation. Don't abandon your own friend or your father's friend, and do not go to your brother's house in a day of disaster. Better is a neighbor who's near than a brother is far away. And maybe that is in reference to maybe you want immediate help, so you go to your next door neighbor rather than going two towns across to go find your brother, right? And we could check what it is about this. This says that it's not always to assume that our birth brother is the best one to help. I thought it meant brother in the way that it's been talking about brothers like a friend of blood who's like, you know, you tight, aka like a brother in Christ, so to speak. Right, but it just says better is a lesser resource that's nearby than a better resource far away, and that's true in a lot of cases. You know, people get taken to the hospital despite how far. Some people, if the hospital is far, they die in the ambulance, and the point of the ambulance is to have, you know, them IVs, them fluids, the EMTs on board to be able to keep you alive to get there. Right, they're the close resource taking you to a far resource. But sometimes, you know, you go to that little hospital and then you realize you got to go to a specialist, so you know they try to see what they can do for you at that current hospital rather than going to the specialist at the moment. They try to stabilize you there, then send you. But sometimes you got to go right away, and sometimes other people don't make it. You know what I'm saying? So point being, I guess, don't go far away. Oh, I guess it's actually specifically a brother, a close relative, right? Who people often turn to. But neighbors, yeah, they can be just as good if they're willing to help you out as well, right? Verse 11 is pretty funny, right? My son, be wise, make my heart glad, right? Father telling his kid, be wise, make my heart glad, so I can answer him that reproaches me, because a dumb son was a bad thing back then, right? Now we ask, you know, G son, T daughter, but back then, I guess it's probably something along the lines of dumb son, T daughter, or something like that. Like, I don't know, but you can see how it's like, hey, my son's not wise. People are I'm getting cooked because my son is stupid. My son isn't wise. He doesn't have prudence, and people are making fun of me for that. Right, and it's a reason that people will make fun of people for that, because the Bible as a whole, at least now, talks about how important that is as a concept, right? And verse 12 highlights it pretty well. A prudent man foresees the evil and hides himself, But the simple pass on and are punished, right? And we know it's impossible to see the future, but at the least you should be able to pray to God and see, hey, this could be a good decision, or hey, I'm looking dumb if I kind of do this one. And then, you make your choice accordingly, because a lot of the times, right, hanging out, simple math, right? 1 plus 1 equals 2, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 1 times 1 equals 1, 2 times 2 equals 4, right? Pretty simple math. Just like if I say worldly friends plus Christian equals probably worldly outcome, versus if I say Christian plus Christian equals Christian, worldly plus Christian, right? Or worldly times Christian will equal a negative times a positive, basically creates a negative. Christian times Christian, positive times positive equals a positive. Not a perfect analogy, right? Not everything's perfect because, two worldly things don't make a Christian thing all the time, but you get the point of the analogy. Saying that, like, simple math, right? If you're hanging out with a bunch of worldly people, like a 5-to-6 ratio, or my bad, 5-to-6, 5-to-1 ratio, 6-to-1 ratio. You got 5 worldly people, 1 Christian. Chances are you're gonna get overwhelmed when it comes time to do what your plans are, or to do what the plans for the night are. And I've had that scenario where I'm like, oh, these are my friends, but it's like it's more of them than it is of you. So when you don't want to do something, it's, come on, don't be that guy. It's not that bad. And then it causes extra shame on being Christian, because you're like, oh, I don't want to just be like, God, I'm Christian, we can't do this, and then they don't respect me, and then they kick me out, or whatever the thing is. It just makes that rock in a hard place even harder to get through. So you get the point. First, see the evil, right? When you're hanging out with worldly people or anything worldly, protect yourself, pray, keep that cloak with you, that armor of God on you, and be safe and move cautiously with God's grace. But it gives you the vision and the forethought. But that vision and the forethought comes from blessing God. It comes from studying the knowledge, the wisdom. Because the more you learn, right? Wisdom begins with the fear of the Lord. Wisdom is the prudence. You fear the Lord more, you get more wisdom. That's how it starts. Kickstart it, hit that little lawnmower. And then it's going. You know what I'm saying? You take a little trial and tribulation sometimes for you to get a little head start, but God he gotta let you know sometimes. He gotta say, oh, he gotta let you have that thought. I messed up one time, not again. And then from then, right, hide yourself. But the simple pass on and get punished. And we ain't simple. We anything but. Science would say we're simple in the effect that everything's an accident. Simple explanation. Better than God created everything with a purpose. God meticulously crafted every single thing down to our atoms. We were sewn together beautifully in our mother's wombs, as David puts it in Psalms. And we stand on that, just like we stand on hiding ourselves from the evil of the world. All right, that's going to be the end of the video. Hope you guys have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Peace.